So Dana White has been cooking up some really good fights for that UFC Saudi Arabia card. So I thought I'd just break them down, talking about all the fights that he has announced. And I guess we're going to start off with the main event for UFC Saudi Arabia on July 22nd, I believe it is. Let me just double check that. But this is going to be a really good card, man. They've gone all out for it so far. It's not even fully announced. June. Okay, June 22nd. Okay, I thought it was July. June, okay. That's a bit more interesting than if it's June. But yeah, it's Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker. This is a really interesting fight because stylistically, this is a nightmare matchup for Khamzat Chimaev, but also you got to factor in, is Robert Whittaker the same fighter he once was? It's hard to tell. Obviously the grappling is a nightmare for Khamzat, but Khamzat could just maybe go out there and knock him out. It's not impossible. Whittaker's not the most durable guy, but I mean, he ate a fucking spinning back kick by Paulo Costa, like pretty fucking flush. So like he's got a really inconsistent chin. But I really do think Robert Whittaker's got a really good shot in this fight. Khamzat Chimaev, fights like a bat out of hell early in these fights. He comes out there crazy aggressive, shoots for takedowns, gasses himself out. We see it against Kamaru Usman. This guy was not looking fucking too crash hard in that fight. He looked really gassed. He looked tired. It is very crazy to see like him manage to beat Kamaru Usman while gassed. He did take him down in the third round as well, so he does have second wins. We have seen Khamzat Chimaev have second wins in those fights. Against Gilbert Burns, he was gassed, but in the third round he came back to win that. So I don't think it's just a case of Khamzat's going to gas and then he's going to lose. He does seem to recover. Like, he does seem to get a second win, but like he does gas really badly. And he hasn't really fought anyone who's really putting on a high pace. Kamaru Usman was on short notice. That was a short notice opportunity. So, Kamaru probably wasn't in the best shape. It was up a weight class. Like, there is a bunch of things. Even a lot of people think Kamaru Usman won that fight, or arguably it could be a draw. So it's like, I don't know, this is an interesting fight, man. I could see a scenario where Khamzat shoots in for takedowns really heavy, trying to put all his strength into it. And if Whittaker even stuffs like 2 takedowns in a row, Khamzat Chimaev could just be fucking dead. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, we see him gassed out after getting takedowns and getting fights to the ground. Could you imagine him after getting like a takedown after takedown after takedown stuff? That is something we haven't really seen from Khamzat Chimaev, if Whittaker just stuffs all of his early takedowns, we might just see Khamzat just go out there and start winging big punches. Whittaker's probably going to like kick up his leg. We did see Khamzat Chimaev doesn't really take leg kicks too well. I remember when he got kicked by Gilbert Burns, it looked like him was like, it looked like it was a fucking big impact. So I think the smart approach here for Robert Whittaker is to try and stuff them takedowns, use his good get-ups, keep this fight standing, kick up his legs. I know it's normally not ideal against a wrestler to go kick the legs, it does give them an opportunity to grab that leg and take you to the ground. But I really do think this is like Whittaker's fight to lose, man. Now, Khamzat Chimaev, like I say, he could just go out there and starch Whittaker. It is possible. Whittaker's chin's not the greatest. But at the same time, Khamzat Chimaev looked pretty awful on the feet against Kamaru Usman. Now, maybe that was to do with his hand. I think he tore a ligament in his hand or something along them lines. So that could explain why. But even then, you have another hand. You could have kicked a bit more. Like, he wasn't booting the legs of Kamaru Usman more than you would expect. He just really wasn't too impressive on the striking. I would have expected him to his striking to be a bit more impressive against Kamaru Usman. We know all about this Khamzat Chimaev power. Obviously, he did go out there and starch GM3 on the feet in like 20 seconds, but I don't know, this is a weird one, man. This is a weird fight to predict. Because obviously, I know Whittaker's only 33 years old, but it's like clear that the man's not in his prime anymore. And I'm not just saying that because he lost to Dricus, but even against Paula, you can see he's not the same fighter anymore. He's still a good fighter, of course, but I don't know, it's just a weird one. But I think I'm gonna give an actual full on prediction by the time the fight comes. But my early lean on this fight is honestly I'm going Whittaker early lean. My early lean is Whittaker, and I know people are gonna say it's because I'm Australian, but generally I'm probably a bigger Hamzat fan than I am a Whittaker fan. But I just see this as a really tough stylistic matchup for Robert Whittaker there. But yeah, I'm taking Rob early lean though. I guess maybe when we get closer to the fight, I'll change my opinion. Then we have the co-main event, which is Sergey Pavlovich versus Alexander Volkov. Obviously, it was meant to be Volkov versus Almeida, but the UFC just said, "Oh, fuck that boring cunt. He's not getting them. He's not going to step up." So maybe they do Almeida versus Garn or something like that, which I can't imagine they're going to do. But I'm going for this fight. I think I'm going Sergey Pavlovich here. Tough fight for him, just because of the height. I don't think he can bulldoze Volkov like he does like a Tai Tuivasa. I don't see him being able to bulldoze Volkov like he does these not too short, but like these fatter heavyweights. But at the same time, and I'm not comparing the level of these two, but we have seen him knock out taller opponents before. Maurice Green's a pretty tall guy. Now, I'm not saying they're anything alike fight-wise. Maurice Green is awful compared to Volkov. But, he's like 6'7", and he's still got starched by Pavlovich, but obviously, there is a bit of a level difference between these two. But we have seen him go out there and starch tall opponents, which is good to see. Wow, I had no idea Maurice Green fought for Glory. That's fucking crazy. What the fuck? Nobody ever mentioned that. But yeah, I think Pavlovich can just go out there and starch Volkov. But Volkov is long, but he's obviously going to be at a reach disadvantage in this fight. And I don't know, I just see him getting KO'd, man. He's looking really good. He is Swolkov. It's going to be a fight on the feet. I don't see them mixing this one up onto the ground, but I'm going to go Pavlovich early lean by KO. Then we have Volkan Oezdemir versus Johnny Walker. I'm taking Volkan Oezdemir here. I know he doesn't look like amazing lately. He hasn't looked too good, but he did beat Bogdan Guskov in his last fight. I believe that was his last fight. I don't know. Johnny Walker, his chin's been cracked too many times. I know MMA math would have you believe, well, Anthony Smith beat it, but obviously MMA math doesn't work. I just see Johnny Walker getting cracked on his chin. He's just been KO'd by Magomed Ankalaev. Been chinned by Jamal Hill. Been chinned by Corey Anderson, who doesn't chin anybody. Who chinned him before that? He got chinned again in the UFC, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he's been chinned a lot of times. It's hard to remember at this point. I know he lost to Nikita Krylov, but I swear he got chinned by somebody else in the UFC. Or am I? No, I guess he didn't. Okay, I'm wrong on that. Did lose to Santos in a very tentative fight, though, and then he got chinned on the regionals. But I'm taking Volkan here. Early lean. I just think he'll knock out Johnny Walker. Then Kelvin Gastelum versus Daniel Rodriguez is a really interesting fight as well. This is a good fight. We got two Mexican bangers. Two Mexican-American bangers. You got the Mexican immigrant parents, Kelvin Gastelum versus the Chicano, Daniel Rodriguez. Daniel Rodriguez looking straight out of looks like a fucking guy in an Southeast LA background character called Edgar, man. He just looks straight fucking hood. And then you got Kelvin Gastelum, who comes from the nice, respectable immigrant family. They're trying to make their place, but they're staying out of, his family looks like more they would own a restaurant, like a Mexican restaurant or something like that. Fucking D-Rod, you can just tell he's been in prison multiple times, which he has. So this isn't even a stereotype. It's true. But this is going to be a good fight. This is going to tell us a lot about Kelvin Gastelum at welterweight. Because in my opinion, he didn't look too great against Sean Brady. Even on the feet, he didn't look too hot. He looked pretty slow. I think this is going to just show us the level between middleweight and welterweight striking. And looking at it, man, I know Daniel Rodriguez hasn't looked too great his last two fights, but I can really see a world where Daniel Rodriguez gets this one done. I might actually go with Daniel Rodriguez here. I know it's not the great prediction. I know this is going to be a hot take, man, but middleweight sucks. And I think we're going to realize the reason Kelvin Gastelum is so highly ranked at middleweight, even though he's undersized, it's because middleweight is generally just god awful. Just because he fought at welterweight in the past, he has like a bit of a welterweight skill set. I feel like that's how he's got some of these wins. I truly think Daniel Rodriguez is going to get this one done. Maybe I'll change my mind if I go rewatch the tape. It's also worth noting D-Rod is pretty old. He is older than Kelvin, but Kelvin's taken so much more damage than D-Rod. I really do think D-Rod's going to get this one done. Like, the more I think about this matchup, he got dropped by Sean Brady. Let's not forget that. Sean Brady drops Kelvin to one knee. I'm not saying D-Rod's going to go out there and... I don't think he's going to go out there and, like, knock out Kelvin Gastelum or anything like that. I think he's going to win a decision, but I can see him getting some knockdowns. I can see him beating him up on the feet a bit. I can see this being a back and forth scrap. I was also going to say it's really interesting this is in Saudi Arabia. I don't know why... Like, it is a very random fight, right, to put in Saudi Arabia between Kelvin Gastelum and Daniel Rodriguez, two Mexican American guys. But still, it is what it is. I'm going with D-Rod. No, it's not a popular opinion, but, like, I don't know, Kelvin Gastelum, man, didn't look too good. He's going to be at a reach disadvantage here. He's down a weight class, you know. I think he's going to be a bit more, not as durable. I don't think he's going to get knocked out cold or anything like that, but he's going to be more susceptible to getting knocked down, I feel like. Then we have Sharaputin Magomedov versus Ihor Potieria. We got Ginger Makhachev versus Christian Makhachev with his big ass cross on his chest of Jesus being crucified. I'm going Sharaputin here, but Ihor Potieria really did impress me his last fight. He looked really good against Robert Brzeski. He really did look good in that fight. So I'm not opposed to an Ihor Potieria underdog here, but I don't think he can grapple. I think his grappling game's pretty sus. But I do think this is going to be a fight on the feet. I would say Ihor's got better hands than Sharaputin, but Sharaputin's like striking overall. His kicks, his knees, his elbows, his Muay Thai. It's much better, but Ihor, I feel like generally does have a bit better boxing for sure, but I'm going to take Sharaputin Magomedov. I feel like this is a fight he should win all day. But we'll see, man. We'll see what happens. This is a good card, though. I feel like that's all the fights, but let me just double check. I don't want to miss any ones that they announced. Whitaker, Volkan versus Walker, D-Rod versus Kelvin, Sharaputin, and Sergey Pavlovich versus Volkov. So really good fights. I don't know if this is going to be the main card or not, but there is still going to be more fights added, obviously. This isn't the whole card, but it really does look like a... You know, this is a solid card on paper, man. This is looking really good. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this ends up. I would imagine they're going to add like a few more, like, you know, Muslim fighters on this card. Not really too many. Like, I imagine they'll probably add like another Dagestani fighter. Maybe they go Renat for Kratinov or something like that. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I'd imagine Muhammad Makhachev is going to be fighting on the Manchester card. I can't imagine they're going to put him on this card. So, you know, but it'll be interesting to see what they do for the rest of this card, man. I'm pretty hyped up for this card, though. It's looking really solid on paper, and this is already one of the better fight nights this year already by far. Like, it's only got 5 fights announced, and I'm already more hyped for it than like half the fight night cards that are announced already. See, that's all they're going to do. They're going to put on like, you know, 5 good fights on a card, and that's good, because most of these cards, they're not doing it. These Apex cards, they fucking suck, man. They're stinky cards. This is a good card. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry I haven't been too active lately. Some of my interviews got rescheduled, and I just have a bit of a sore throat lately. I have an ulcer on the fucking back of my throat, so it sort of hurts for me to talk at the moment, and I just have a sore throat in general. So I haven't been active as I normally like to be on here, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll try and be a bit more active with these videos. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Like this video, subscribe if you ain't already, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers. Peace.